How was your day, man?
Good.
Did you sell a lot of cupcakes?
Hmm?
Did you sell a lot of cupcakes?
It's not my job to sell.
To sample? Did you give a lot of people samples?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Hey, how's it going, Rodrigo?
Hello.
Hey, Rodrigo, how's it going?
I'm fine, and you, Father?
Good, I'm doing well. I just, my internet was causing major problems. I apologize for that.
No problem.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. And you?
Good, I'm doing well, thanks. I'm doing well. Your picture shows New York City. Are you there right now?
Yeah.
You're in New York?
Last trip on the last year.
You were there last year?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, yeah, Rodrigo, I don't want to spend too much time. I want to actually get started because of the internet problem, if you don't mind. Today, we are going to be looking at contractions, actually. So when we look at contractions in English, they are phrases that are abbreviated, you know.
Okay.
So what are some examples of contractions, Rodrigo? If you could give me one example. I'm sorry. I'm here. Yes,
Sorry.
I'm here.
I didn't understand. The connection was
really bad.
Yeah.
Sure. I was asking about contractions in English.
Okay.
For example, I'll give you an example of one. So we use contractions many times in English when we are discussing different kinds of phrases. So if we are saying words like I am, the word I am. Oops, I'm sorry, I muted you by mistake, Rodrigo.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I muted you. Okay, so I am becomes I'm, right? Or, for example, are not becomes aren't, right?
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so could you give me some other examples of contractions?
Would you explain again the example?
Sure, absolutely. When we take two words in English and we abbreviate them, we make them smaller, right? So are not becomes aren't. I am becomes I'm, right? These are some of these examples. What are some other examples that we have in English that you can think of? Many times we use them in normal conversation.
Another example?
Another example, yes, of a contraction. Any contraction.
Any kind? I am...
For example, let me give you an example, Rodrigo.
Okay.
Does not. How do we make does not into a contraction? The phrase does not.
She doesn't take your car today.
Yeah, she doesn't take my car today, right? So does not becomes doesn't.
Okay.
That's the only thing we're looking at, Rodrigo. Just taking the two words and making it smaller, right?
Okay.
So what about let's think of could not, for example. Could not. What's the contraction for could not?
Couldn't.
Couldn't, yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. What about has not?
Hasn't.
Hasn't. Yeah. So usually what we do is we just replace the O with that apostrophe, right? So the O becomes the apostrophe. And it happens many times when we do nots, for example. Like when we see the word not, we change the O into an apostrophe, right?
Okay.
So, and this is what we call in English, we call this a contraction. Or these are examples of contractions where we're making them smaller, right? So that's the basic idea, and we use them many times in English because it's easier when we're having a conversation to, instead of saying I could not, you say I couldn't, right? Words like that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So could you give me a sentence maybe, Rodrigo, of another example, something that you did today, something that you're going to do today, that you can use a contraction, yeah.
Something I do today?
Yeah.
Let me see. I unfortunately I couldn't not to watch some video, some movie.
Unfortunately, I couldn't watch some movies, right? So you can say, unfortunately, I could not watch some movies, or you can say, I couldn't watch some movies. Yeah. So either one, right? You don't want to repeat couldn't not, because could not becomes couldn't, right?
Couldn't. Okay.
Couldn't, yeah. What about one more example, Rodrigo?
I couldn't to play soccer because the weather because it's rainy today.
I couldn't play soccer because the weather, it's raining today, right? Or because it's raining today. So we can say it two ways, actually, Rodrigo. We can say because we say, for example, because the weather is rainy today, right? So we can use an adjective to describe the weather, because the weather is rainy today. Or we can say because it's rainy today, because it's rainy today. So when we see the example of it's rainy, right? It's by itself is also a contraction, right? The word it's is a contraction. What is it a contraction of?
Okay.
It's as a contraction of. That's fine, Rodrigo. I'm saying it's is a contraction of two words, right? What are those words? What are those two words?
In this phrase, the two contractions is it couldn't and it is rain.
Yeah, so instead of saying it's raining, we could have said because it is raining today.
Okay.
This is all I'm saying, Rodrigo. I'm saying it is becomes it's, right? That's the only change. That's the only change. So making bigger words into smaller words, contracting them, that's what we do with contractions.
Okay.
Right, so that's the idea. And I guess, one of the most common ones in English, I am becomes I'm, right? You are becomes, so when we look at the verb to be, I am, you are, he is, she is, you are, plural, you, many people are, right? They are.
Okay.
Those are the very common. So what do you think you are will become, Rodrigo? You are. What is the contraction for you are?
What is the contraction for you are? Urine?
Yeah, you're. Could you write that, actually? Rodrigo, could you write that in the chat? I just want to see how you make it.
Okay.
Let me know if you need any help too, Rodrigo.
Yeah.
It's completely fine. Yeah. Once you finish typing, if you hit enter, I think it'll show in our window. Are you on the Colingo chat window or the other chat window? Oh, okay. You should be on the Colingo one, I think. Do you see where I'm typing stuff on the right, Rodrigo? Sometimes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I see.
Great. I know sometimes it's confusing. Lots of buttons.
Okay. I believe the right way to write this is your.
Yeah, you're right. So, which letter do we remove? Which letter in you are do we remove to make your?
You? Oh, you?
No, actually, we remove the A and R. Right. So we remove that A. Yeah. So then, what do we get when we remove that A? That's what we have to type, right?
Okay. Could you show me?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we have you are and you take away the A, then you get your.
Okay.
Right? That's the only thing. So, you are going to school.
Okay.
you're going to school, right? So that's the general
Really, I
idea.
forgot.
Oh, no problems, no problems. This is
Really, I forgot how to write this.
oh, that's fine. So this is actually then it's a really good review then, right? So let's review all of these for the verb to be, right? Because
Okay.
it's very important. The verb to be, I am becomes I'm, right? So I am becomes
Okay.
I'm, right? You are becomes your, right? He is,
Okay.
or he or she is becomes he's or she's, right? He's or she's, depending on the situation. He or she is. So he is
Yep.
doing his homework. He's doing his
Yep.
homework, right?
Yep.
Let me ask you how to do we are then. Rodrigo, how do we do you are? Or we are, I mean. We are becomes
You are? That's it?
no, we're saying we are, right? If you see the chat,
Okay.
yeah, we are. It's
Perfect.
the same situation as your. When we said you are becomes your, we are will become
You're. Let me write.
yeah, were. Exactly. Fantastic, right? So
Okay.
the pronunciation of this is a little bit different. So we have to say we are becomes were. Can you say were? Yeah,
Okay.
were, right? So it's your and were,
Okay.
right? And then what
Yep.
about for they are? What is the form for they are, Rodrigo?
They.
Yeah, it's going to be there. Yeah,
There.
fantastic. So how could you make a sentence with there, Rodrigo?
There are a lot of things to learn in English yet.
Yeah, so we can say, when you say there are a lot of things to learn in English, we are actually using this, right? There are. It's a little bit different from there, right?
Okay.
There we are saying they are.
That's it then.
Yeah, not there are. So what's another example of a sentence with they are? We can talk about some people maybe or
There.
somebody.
No, okay. They are bought some things on the supermarkets today.
They are, we should say, if we use are, then we have to say they are buying something,
By
right? Yeah, so
okay.
they are buying at the supermarket. You can say they buy at the supermarket, right? But if we want to say they
Okay.
are, then we have to make it a present continuous, right? So
Okay.
they are buying something at the supermarket, right? Because the idea is that when you have the are or the is or all of these types, you are talking about doing, if you put a verb after are or a verb after, you know, was, right? He was driving, or they are driving. That verb has to end in ing, so it becomes a progressive verb, it becomes a continuous verb.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a little bit more complicated, Rodrigo. How long have you spent studying English, Rodrigo? I mean, is this the first time you've taken another class in a long time, or when was the last time you studied?
Really, I was on a vacation.
Uh-huh.
Wait a moment. Wait a moment,
Sure,
please.
sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
Sorry, Farhan.
No problems.
Um,
No problems.
Really, I was on vacation, and there is a lot of time that I don't study some verbs and some phrases, and
Uh-huh.
I am trying to keep my study in time.
Yeah, no. I understand completely, Rodrigo, but this level class I think is actually too difficult right now for you. So because it's right now this level class is an intermediate class, right?
Okay,
And intermediate is actually, this stuff is a little bit more advanced. So now they are actually changing a lot of we have changed the system here in Colingo. So we have different levels. We have, for example, beginner. We have high beginner, low intermediate, intermediate, high intermediate, many different designations, right? If you have a chance, try to see if you can get into some of the high beginner classes. I think that's a good place for you to start, because then they're going to be looking at some of these ideas, some of these examples, and it's going to help you easily, because usually with language learning, it's I completely understand you. When I learn languages, Rodrigo, same problem for me. If you don't remember, then we need to review a lot, right? And maybe every week or every day we need to review some things like verbs and words, vocabulary and things like that. So I think it'll be really good. We are completely changing. I'm teaching some of the beginner classes. Some of the other teachers are teaching some of the beginner classes. So feel free to take any of them, and I think those will be really helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions besides the ones we looked at, right? So they buy at the supermarket. They are buying, right? That would become their buying. Yeah, go ahead. No questions?
No, okay, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. No, that's all. That's I was saying. That's all I was saying about the contractions. That really it's just the idea of making a bigger phrase, 2 words into one smaller word, right?
Okay.
Could not, couldn't, they are, there. Yeah. There are many types. With the not, for example, did not, has not, could not, should not, right? These all become, for example, didn't, hasn't, couldn't, shouldn't, right? It's a little bit of a crazy thing in English, because we abbreviate a lot of things. We make a lot of things smaller.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. Awesome. So Rodrigo, let's take a look at the lesson for today. Is actually going to involve, or the lecture for today, we are going to be looking at the special relationship between the United States and England. It's one of these things that I think maybe people outside these two countries may not know, but these countries always have a very special relationship, right? And the idea in this article, they're talking about that this special relationship is actually made more special by the fact that the United States has now decided to put a statue of the former Prime Minister, a guy named Winston Churchill, a very famous British leader. In World War II, Winston Churchill was responsible for protecting England from the Germans, from the Nazis, right?
Okay.
So, and a lot of people in America love this guy. Many of the old people love this guy. And now they have a statue for him that is describing his. It's a way to remember him in the United States, right? And it's a statue in the Congress, in the congressional building. It's a big honor for somebody who's not an American, right?
Okay.
So let's take a look at this, Rodrigo. And if at any time during the article you see any words that you don't understand, let me know, and we will. Because the focus should be to look at some of these words also.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's take a look here. And so we see here, Capitol Hill. Capitol Hill is the United States Capitol building, where the Congress is. Yeah, exactly. Capitol Hill's Churchill bust reaffirms a special relationship. So this kind of a statue, this is called a bust of somebody, right?
Okay.
There are many types of words for bust.
Okay.
Yeah. So this bust reaffirms. What does reaffirm mean, Rodrigo? When you see reaffirm?
It's to confirm, like to let's go to confirm the partners between two countries.
Exactly. It does exactly that. To reaffirm something is to confirm something. And we see this especially when in the United States, and especially when it's a relationship between the United States and England. So let's see here. A bust of Winston Churchill has been dedicated on Capitol Hill in a move that will delight champions of the so-called special relationship between the U.S. and Britain. Okay, so they have this special relationship. The indomitable indomitable British statesmen will reside alongside the statues of former U.S. presidents in the marble-pillared statuary hall of Congress, right? So it's a really descriptive. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Indomitable. What does it mean?
Yeah, great question, Rodrigo. Indomitable means somebody who cannot be defeated. You cannot defeat him. He's invincible. He's very powerful, right?
Okay.
Yeah. In his lifetime, he was an indomitable person because he was fighting Hitler and he defeated Hitler. I mean, he survived.
Okay.
I see. Yeah. Wednesday's ceremony found political leaders in a rare agreement on the cigar-chomping wartime leader's legacy. Right.
The last part, cigarette chomping.
Yeah, this is the person who writes this is being he's trying to paint a picture. So cigar, you know what a cigar is, of course, Rodrigo. It's like the cigarette, the cigar. Yeah.
Okay.
So cigar chomping, somebody who chomps something is somebody who eats something or consumes something. Right?
Okay.
So they're saying the cigar chomping wartime leader's legacy. So Churchill smoked a lot of cigars.
Yeah, a lot of time.
A long time. Yeah, maybe every day he smoked like one or two, right? So this is now, and what the interesting thing about this is this ceremony found political leaders in rare agreement, right? So usually in the United States there are people who, politicians are always arguing with each other, right?
Okay.
However, this one time, they were all on the same, they all agreed with each other that Winston Churchill was a very good person for the United States.
I see.
So, yeah. Churchill is the best friend the United States ever had, said Republican House Speaker John Boehner. This guy is a very powerful politician in the U.S. This is one of history's true love stories between a great statesman and a nation that he called a great republic. So he's just, I guess, repeating his love for Churchill. Any questions about that paragraph?
No.
That makes sense. Today, with peace, justice, and a touch of majesty, Winston Churchill returns to the capital. This bust renews ties, right? What about this paragraph, Rodrigo?
Sorry?
What about this paragraph? Any questions about this one?
No, it's clear for me.
So just one word I want to focus on. If you renew something, Rodrigo, what do you think that does? If you renew something,
it's like to confirm again.
Yeah, renew actually is to begin something that was maybe stopped.
Okay.
Right? To do something so that it doesn't stop. To renew, for example, if you go to the library and you have a book that you took from the library, but before the last day that the book is due, you renew it. You say, can I please get the book for another 3 weeks, or whatever the case might be.
Okay.
Yeah. He suggested the bronze be a source of inspiration to his colleagues. If you're looking for counsel or just hoping to feel a little braver, right? So bronze, Rodrigo, do you know what this word might mean?
It's a metal.
Yeah, it's a metal. It's a mix of like two other metals. I don't remember which ones, right? But this is made from bronze, right?
Okay.
So he suggested that this bronze be a source of inspiration to his colleagues. What does that mean?
Really, is like a way to remember that the two countries are and were really good friends, and to keep this way in the future.
Absolutely. To keep it that same way in the future, and that Churchill remains as a source of inspiration, as a way, of this partnership. Exactly. So if any American politician is wondering, hey, how can I be a better leader? They should look at Churchill's example, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's a little crazy because Churchill was good, but he wasn't that good. As me, somebody reading this article, I'm a little suspicious of this statue, and I think it's politics. I mean, they're treating this guy like a god. He was good, but he wasn't amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, we have many American presidents that did much more for America than Churchill. But whatever. I think
agree.
this is something that is politicians are like this. Rodrigo. They make gods out of people. So I wanted to this question right here. Let's look at the bottom here. Why do Americans love Churchill, the first person ever to receive honorary U.S. citizenship, so much? Right? So this guy actually received honorary U.S. citizenship, the first person in the world to do that. And it is more than simply because his mother was U.S. born, believes George Washington University history professor Dane Kennedy. Right? So Churchill's mother was born in the U.S., so she was American, but the reason for Americans' love for Churchill maybe is some other reason. So this professor saying, what happens is politicians embrace a figure in the past in a way that sort of serves their particular political interest in the present. Right? It's a bigger paragraph. It's a little bit more complicated sentence, Rodrigo. But what is this professor saying? What do you think?
He's saying that in this situation there is another interest, like some politicians try to promote for another office on the government and to try to reach another levels on the politicians. I believe that's it. It's not a real interest in what the church did on the war, but try to inspiration in this case to reach another levels.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Rodrigo. Politicians, they try to use these symbolic people, right? Very powerful people from history as a way to inspire their own ideas in the present, right? Because it's interesting that, for example, the idea is that politicians are always looking for power, right? They want to influence people, and if you use a very powerful figure as a source of inspiration, then other people will listen to you more or will identify you with that person. So it's a difficult thing to really understand fully, but it's something that politicians do all the time. So then this last part, in your country, the same thing in Brazil?
Yeah, in our countries happens the same thing.
Who do a lot of politicians try to try to copy or try to speak about in Brazil?
In the actual government. I believe this happens on the last government, not the actual government. But in other level of the politician, like here in Brazil, the roles of the representative is called the Câmara dos Deputados, and there is a lot of politicians that try to inspire in case to promote yourself.
Yeah, I heard there was a very popular movie, Lula, Filho do Brasil, in Brazil.
Yeah.
Right? And that people are saying that, or people told me, some of my Brazilian friends told me that President Rousseff right now, she was very popular because of Lula.
Yes, really, Lula puts the actual president on the office. Really, the Lula was the responsible for to win the elections. If Lula doesn't have to put enforcement on the elections, he she really don't have to win this election.
Yeah. What is she? Is she not very popular, Rodrigo? I mean, is she popular, Gilma?
For no, yeah, she's really popular between many people.
Mm-hmm.
I believe the next election, the next year,
Mm-hmm.
she's win the election again. For me, it's very clear. But
Really?
yeah. But there is a lot of people that don't like the Dilma because she's a copy of the Lula. He tried to do the same things that Lula did in the last government.
And it was, one of the things that really makes me interested, because I've heard about Lula. How was this guy so popular, if you don't mind sharing? I mean, what did he do? People love this guy, I think.
It's interesting. It's an interesting question.
Uh-huh.
Really, Lula is a very expert politician expert, but he don't have enough knowledge about the laws and about the system of the government. But he's an expert politician, and he to how can I say to let me see.
Sure.
Like can I say it? He can I say it? He put this advantage that he had to say some things about the government and try to change the way that the government did the things on the country. But really what happened is the Lula gave some money for the people that don't have enough money to buy things, basic things, and with this he increase your
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his
and
popularity, his popularity.
popularity.
Uh-huh.
Yes, and in this way he win the election, and
Mm-hmm.
this way is for really what's happening is the people are a lot of people in Brazil are very poor, and when we have a president that gave some money to make these people bought some things and to buy things that we they not having this, and this way he's make you very popular.
Mm-hmm. So he really helped the poor people, and his popularity just
Yeah.
went crazy, increased, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that don't like Lula, and for me, is a president that say many things that, and if they did good things to country, but I think that they could have more things, and to lost the opportunity to change some important laws on the country, and
Mm-hmm.
he said on the past that he couldn't do this, but when he was on the government, he really uh, didn't did sorry he don't did these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really crazy, but I think maybe in the future, because Lula was so popular, and maybe because he was such a maybe he was a uniter. I think he united a lot of Brazilian people. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
maybe because of that, he might be remembered. His legacy could be something like something very positive. You know, statues of Lula in Brasilia, in Sao Paulo, and just like Churchill. I don't know, maybe.
yeah, maybe, maybe.
Yeah. Are people talking about him still in Brazil today? Is he part of politics, or did he go to Copacabana and just relaxing, retiring?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Faham,
Yes.
really, I think the most interesting thing that Lula achieved is to he get your first degrees. The president is the first degrees that Lula get, and this is a very interesting thing in all countries. We have a president that don't have any experiences, any knowledge, and but he is a good politician. He get uh, to reach many levels of the people, and it's really interesting in all countries. I
Hmm.
believe that's the Lula did on the last government. Dilma
Yeah.
is the copy. Dilma is the really a copy of Lula.
Dilma's copy of Lula.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The same. She do the same thing that Lula, and there is people in Brazil that said that Lula still today say many things to Dilma. What Dilma have to do, what people Dilma has um,
Talk to, or yeah.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
That's
this kind
crazy.
of thing.
What was their relationship, Rodrigo? I have no idea. How was Dilma related to Lula? Were they friends? Were they, classmates?
Nowadays,
Were they?
nowadays, nowadays,
Yeah.
really, Lula has is a kind of how can I say? Let me see. It's like let me see how far.
Sure, no problems.
It's
I'm actually
a
learning
counselor.
Portuguese right now a little bit,
Yeah,
Rodrigo. So,
counselor. It's a counselor.
counselor. He's a
Yeah,
counselor.
yeah, a personal counselor of Dilma.
Mm-hmm.
And Dilma was a minister of Lula. And
Oh,
today, for everything that Dilma was do, he talks to Lula um, and Lula has today a great how can I say a great uh, great pop officer in the government. He's a counselor, personal counsel of Dilma. It's a
hmm,
kind this.
that's interesting. So he has a lot of influence still.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure.
Wow, wow.
Yeah,
That's very interesting.
in all parts of the government, there is people that said that Lula indicates some person to occupy this card, or
Yeah.
he
To
he's
occupy those positions. To occupy those
yeah, those
positions. Yeah.
positions. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah.
He chose some people to indicate for the government, and there is people on the Brazil that said Lula will be the president on the next elections.
Really,
But
he'll come back.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But he said that it's impossible. He don't want this. But don't to confirm this. He's don't confirm this. he say only no, not yet. I don't think this. It's not my interest now. I have another positions, and I am to do other things. But
Maybe
he
Rodrigo, he'll
never.
Imperador Lula. Just like
Unfortunately,
just like Don
unfortunately.
Pedro, just like Don Pedro, Imperador Lula.
No, unfortunately. No,
Right?
really, yeah. But this is the situation. It's a particular situation in Brazil, but Lula has a lot of influence on the many levels of the government. Yes.
That's very interesting. Well, Rodrigo, I really appreciated the class. Sorry again for my internet being late. I do
No, no problem.
I do have another class starting right now. If you want to join that, I'll be more than happy. But it was great to see you. And did you have any questions about the Churchill or some of the contractions that we looked at?
No. I have a biggest knowledge about the war, the Second War, and
Yeah,
the history of the church and the relationship in America and England.
Churchill is still very popular here. He's like, I mean, somebody. I don't
Yeah,
I don't really care too much about him. I think, for example, Franklin Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR, the
yeah,
American president. The American president was very powerful. We all respect him. Churchill
yeah,
smoking cigars all the time. He was okay. He wasn't a great leader, in my opinion. But
yeah.
we don't know. People have different opinions. So that's why we have these debates sometimes. But anyway, Rodrigo,
Yeah.
it's a pleasure once again to see you. And
Okay, I will be on the next class.
next one right here. Yeah, fantastic. Awesome, Rodrigo. See you soon then.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, take care. Sure, absolutely. When we take two words in English and we abbreviate them, we make them
Okay.
smaller, right? So are not becomes aren't. I am becomes I'm, right? These are some of these examples. What are some other examples that we have in English that you can think of? Many times we use them in normal conversation.
Another example.
Another example, yes, of a contraction. Any
Um,
contraction.
any kind. Uh, like I am.
For example, let me give you an
Try.
example, Rodrigo.
Okay.
Does not. How do we make does not into a contraction? The phrase does
Okay.
not.
She doesn't take your car today.
Yeah, she doesn't take my car today, right? So does not becomes doesn't.
Okay.
That's the only thing we're looking at, Rodrigo. Just taking the two words and making it smaller, right?
Okay.
So let's think of could not, for example. Could not. What's the contraction for could not?
Couldn't.
Couldn't, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
right? Exactly. What about has not? How was your day, man?
I'm good.
Did you sell a lot of cupcakes?
Hmm?
Did you sell a lot of cupcakes?
It's not my job to sell.
To sample? Did you give a lot of people samples?
Hmm?
Nice. Hey, how's it going, Rodrigo?
Hello.
Hey, Rodrigo, how's it going?
I'm fine, and you, father?
Good, I'm doing well. I just, my internet was causing major problems. I apologize for that.
No problem.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. And you?
Good. I'm doing well, thanks. I'm doing well. Your picture shows New York City. Are you there right now?
Yeah. It's
You're in New
the
York?
last trip on the last year.
You were there last year?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, yeah, Rodrigo, I don't want to spend too much time. I want to actually get started because of the internet problem, if you don't mind. Today, we are going to be looking at contractions, actually. So when we look at contractions in English, they are phrases that are abbreviated, you know.
Okay.
So what are some examples of contractions, Rodrigo? If you could give me one example. I'm sorry. I'm here. Yes,
Sorry.
I'm here.
I didn't understand. The connection was
really bad?
yeah.
Sure. I was asking about contractions in English.
Okay.
For example, I'll give you an example of one. So we use contractions many times in English when we are discussing different kinds of phrases. So if we are saying words like I am, the word I am. Oops, I'm sorry, I muted you by mistake, Rodrigo.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I muted you. Okay, so I am becomes I'm, right? Or, for example, are not becomes aren't, right?
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, so could you give me some other examples of contractions?
Would you explain again the example?
Watch some movies. Yeah, so either one, right? You don't want to repeat couldn't not, because could not becomes couldn't, right?
Couldn't. Okay.
Couldn't, yeah. What about one more example, Rodrigo?
I couldn't to play soccer because the weather because it's rainy today.
I couldn't play soccer because the weather, it's raining today, right? Or because it's raining today. So we can say it two ways, actually, Rodrigo. We can say because we say, for example, because the weather is rainy today, right? So we can use an adjective to describe the weather, because the weather is rainy today. Or we can say because it's rainy today, because it's rainy today. So when we see the example of it's rainy, right? It's by itself is also a contraction, right? The word it's is a contraction. What is it a contraction of?
Okay.
It's as a contraction of. That's fine, Rodrigo. I'm saying it's is a contraction of two words.
Hasn't.
Yeah. So usually what we do is we just replace the O with that apostrophe, right? So the O becomes the apostrophe, and it happens many times when we do nots, for example. Like when we see the word not, we change the O into an apostrophe, right?
Okay.
So. And this is what we call in English, we call this a contraction. Or these are examples of contractions where we're making them smaller, right? So that's the basic idea. And we use them many times in English because it's easier when we're having a conversation to, instead of saying I could not, you say I couldn't, right? Words like that. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So could you give me a sentence maybe, Rodrigo, of another example, something that you did today, something that you're going to do today, that you can use a contraction, yeah.
Something I do today?
Yeah.
Let me see. Unfortunately I couldn't not to watch some video, some movie.
Unfortunately, I couldn't watch some movies, right? So you can say, unfortunately, I could not watch some movies, or you can say, I couldn't